Good morning. How's everyone doing? Great. So early. So we're gonna talk today about business models, sustainability, and my experiences with those things, but expanding the triple bottom line. It seems like a lot of businesses today are after this triple bottom line concept, and I believe that we've long passed the triple bottom line, and to achieve sustainability, the triple bottom line has to change. So the triple bottom line concept is suitable for a lot of businesses, but truly alienates large companies and bigger companies. And my challenge is, as my company has grown to be the largest adventure company in the world, is maintaining that triple bottom line concept. And I think that in order for sustainability to really be achieved, the triple bottom line needs an expanded spectrum of criteria to engage larger companies, or sustainability will never be achieved. So let me tell you about my industry, which is travel and tourism. There's no industry under fire more than travel when it comes to sustainability. When it comes to climate change, when it comes to the idea of responsible travel, ecotourism, the travel industry is under fire more than ever before. Carbon emissions, actual plane flights, the way it contributes to climate change. All of these things are issues within the industry. So let me educate you first about that, and let me tell you a bit about what we do and how we look at business models. So just a few quick facts about the travel industry. 866 million tourists, traveled in the year 2009. And by 2020, the UN World Trade Organization predicts that annual international tourists will reach 1.6 billion. So travel is cheaper and faster than ever before. We can all travel cheaper. There's all these kinds of discount airlines that are changing the way we travel. And so in the next decade, travel is going to double. And is there anything being looked at to sustain that? Because it's not going to expand and double in size with relation to how people travel today either. There's going to be major hotspots like China is going to be a major hotspot, Thailand, Peru, areas that are Egypt, areas where people want to see, have tourist attractions that people want to see. And with that growth, who's looking at the sustainable side of what's going to happen with travel? And so the travel industry itself is not very good at kind of looking at itself and regulating it. And I don't think the answer is necessarily less people traveling, because that has an effect in another way. But the answer really remains in changing business models. And the biggest problem we have in travel today, of every US $100 spent on vacation on a tour by a tourist, only $5 actually stays in the country itself, according to the United Nations Environment Program. So that's a staggering statistic that tells you that none of the money is staying in the local economies, and so local people and local communities are not benefiting by that massive growth that we're seeing in tourism. So let's go back a bit and remember how we used to travel back in 1990. So everyone can go back to 1990, before Google, before Twitter. People research travel very differently. Nirvana was the best new artist. They listened to them on classic rock, and frankly, I shed a tear. So the tourist looked like this. Resorts were becoming more inclusive. Cruise ships were getting bigger and bigger. If you can remember, the cruise industry used to convince you that a bigger ship was better. Do you remember that? They would actually advertise, so there's a 1,500 passenger ship, but this company is building an 1,800 passenger ship. So wait, because traveling with people on a ship in the middle of the ocean, more people somehow is better. It was like this marketing genius for the cruise industry. Coach touring, one of the biggest offenders of leaving as little as possible in the country itself. These were all the forms of travel, but people researched travel very differently back then. And then in the mid-90s, ecotourism came along, the concept of ecotourism. And if you can remember back then, Sting was running around naked in the rainforest, and we all started thinking about recycling. And the concept of ecotourism had that saying that said, leave only footprints, take only photographs, which was a cute little catchphrase. But it left people wondering, what does that really mean? And then with that, the Ecotourism Society came out with something called responsible travel. So first we had ecotourism, and then we had responsible travel. And responsible travel was defined as natural areas to conserve the environment, and improves the well-being of local people. Suddenly, that last sentence confused people. Hang on, improves the well-being of local people. I just want a holiday. What's that about local people? I can't control economies. I just want to lie on the beach for a week. And so the Ecotourism Society confused people because suddenly it was about the environment and leaving only footprints, but now I'm responsible for local people's lives? How is that entwined in my holiday time? And then, of course, more recently, climate change has become an issue. Al Gore has come out with the inconvenient truth, and I took these actual photos in Spitsbergen in the Arctic. So we have ships up in the Arctic, and we haven't been able to circumnavigate the whole area until the 1st of July, when we first started in the area. Lately, we're starting in the middle of June. I've been there once, and these are my pictures where the ice has already started melting in the middle of June. And this picture I took on the 19th of June of a polar bear. And you can see that polar bear looks lost in Arizona, hardly in the Arctic. But those are the realities of climate change. So climate change suddenly developed a new expression called sustainable tourism. So what has this done? This has just confused the consumer and the traveler. People are saying, I just want a simple holiday. I don't want to think about, other people's lives and local economies. I don't want to think about, polar bears not being able to, have ice. And I don't really want to think about animals in the environment. Because when you could supply people and travelers, and especially the sellers of travel, the travel agent who have such a tough job knowing all the products of the world to sell you as a traveler, it confused the traveler. And what happens when you supply too much information? People just ignore it and push it away. So travelers now come from all over the world, and they want something more sustainable. And there's a tipping point happening in travel where people at home now are changing their light bulbs and they're recycling, they're living more sustainably, yet then they go on a coach tour or a cruise for their holiday and they think, well, this is kind of weird. I'm at home doing this, and my holiday is not even remotely sustainable, not even in a culture, and the cultural impact, aside from the environmental impact, the cultural impact is enormous. And so this tipping point is happening where people are saying, that's kind of weird. I got to think about what we're doing with our holiday time. So I'm using the travel industry, but the business model of triple bottom line is supposed to be relevant to every company. And I believe that the triple bottom line alienates larger companies, and I also believe that without engaging large corporations, sustainability will never be achieved. So organizations, and I won't mention any names, can campaign against large companies, and everyone's against large companies at the moment. BP obviously had a big incident recently that we won't talk about. And so it alienates large companies from the concept of a triple bottom line. But for those of you who don't know, just quickly, triple bottom line is just a company that has an expanded spectrum of reporting. So people, planet, and profit. We all know that a profitable business is a successful business. We learned that from very young. If you're more successful, you're more profitable, you make more money, and you're more successful. That's the way it works in our world. You learn that in business school, you learn that in primary school. But a triple bottom line company, traditionally, looks at people and planet, and they have programs in place that can expand those programs as their company grows. And they look at how the mere existence of their product, or whatever they do, their service, affects people and planet. So we look at this today, and I say to you that this business model alienates companies that actually can make change. Companies like mine, we're easy. Like my little thing that I do, it's grown and it's successful, and we're the biggest in our space, but it's still a niche space. We'll never achieve sustainability just engaging companies like mine. We'll only achieve sustainability by engaging large companies. And the way social media is going, social media is allowing companies, those small companies and small entrepreneurial companies, to engage in destructive innovation and being more innovative than ever before and have such a wide audience just from their desktop computers. So I say to you that there's two things missing to engage companies so companies can actually achieve sustainability, but also have an expanded spectrum in which to choose from. What's missing to me is passion and purpose. Can companies create passion and purpose and equally blend that into either people, planet, or profit and still achieve some form of triple bottom line combination, but engage their customers and engage the people that touch their brand to a higher purpose beyond their product. Today, the idea of an iconic brand is different than it's ever been. In the old days, you have a brand, you build a brand, and you just put tons of commercials on TV, buy tons of billboards, and suddenly you have a brand. Everyone knows what's happened with Dove recently, the Dove brand. Didn't everyone grow up with the Dove soap that was kind of the cheaper brand of soap? I mean, I'm an immigrant, so we had the Family Buster pack. You got 20 bars for 99 cents. And Dove today just, they did a purpose-driven marketing campaign, and suddenly Dove is a beauty product and a beauty aid, and suddenly has developed their brand. That's how marketing works, and that's how brands have been developed. But more and more, iconic brands are changing, and these smaller companies and the entrepreneurial companies that are able to achieve iconic brand status, the companies that truly want to achieve the same thing, engaging in social media, being more transparent than ever before, and their consumers wanting more, suddenly have to move over closer to the small entrepreneurial companies if you want to achieve that iconic brand status. But it still leaves that bottom left corner there of companies that say, this whole triple bottom line concept and the purpose-driven business models aren't relevant to us because we don't fit in. But I argue that those companies can fit in. They can make a difference. They can contribute to sustainability, regardless of what you do, by just expanding the spectrum in which people can engage their customers, the people that work within their business, and engage people to a higher purpose. And so when companies get together, everyone has different core values. There's ideas of what your business is. Everyone kind of goes to, there's always key words of integrity and respect and innovation, and all these things, and community. All of these things can make up your company, but core values lie at the heart of any business, and any company can have core values. You can manufacture cement. You can be a company that manufactures computer chips, and you can have core values. So why can't you drive those core values and still be a purpose-driven business model, create happiness and community, change people's lives, do all of the things that other people do, no matter what your business is? Why alienate bigger companies? Because those companies are needed to drive the change that we need. So I'm going to just give you an example of how we look at things with my business, because obviously it's more relevant in tourism for me. I'm going to use a business case study for you today and just look at one country, which is Peru, the biggest country for us. I'll give you an idea of our size in Peru. On the Inca Trail, there's a permit for every single person that travels on the Inca Trail. At the end of the year, they tabulate all of the Inca Trail permits. We consume 32% of the global market share of Inca Trail permits. The largest, by far, number 2 is single digit, to give you an idea of size. So let's look at that business model. Having partners in the field like this is my first partner, Delphine. So Delphine is actually in Ecuador, and he is in a local community, and he's been running groups for me for 20 years. But originally, when we visited Delphine, it was just to see his groups, see his family, and stay with a group of people to see their everyday life. There's no activities, there's no things to do. It's just about cultural exchange. But over 20 years, they've also managed to build a school. And they now, in this rainforest community, this tribe that now sustains 6 or 7 tribes actually go to school. They never thought of reading and writing before. And now, through making money through the tourism dollars from us bringing groups in, they were able to build a school. That's the idea of kind of giving back. But let's go, that's kind of a product-driven idea. But let's talk about actually driving business change and driving sustainability and solving business problems through sustainability and innovation. They mentioned earlier that we have our own foundation that does a lot of this work. But I'll give you an example. On the Inca Trail, we drive through this area all the time. There's zero employment for women. And zero employment for women is in this area, and we identified a problem, which is the local women are no longer weaving. They're not teaching the young how to weave because they're moving to urban centers, and they're reasonably moving to urban centers to service our passengers that are there. So we started the Women's Weaving Co-op, and the Women's Weaving Co-op has 60 women weaving all day, teaching the younger generation how to weave. They were losing all their stories, all their traditions, all their histories, all in their patterns. And now they can teach everyone all day, and we can bring our passengers through and consume all the products. But what's great about the Women's Weaving Co-op is it answered our need as a business to create differentiation. So suddenly, with the minute we opened the Women's Weaving Co-op, all of our competitors drove in with vans to say, can we visit the Women's Weaving Co-op with our passengers? We said, no, get the hell out. Get your own Women's Weaving Co-op. But the idea is to raise the bar within our industry as well and create sustainability at the same time through innovation and creating differentiation. We have a street kids home in Cusco. When I went down there was no question the kids on the street were on the street at night selling things to my passengers. Our passengers come stumbling drunk out of bars, and the kids are selling them cigarettes and chiclets and candy and all the things that people want after they're out partying on vacation. We're just having fun. But any company that tells you, oh, we can't do anything about two things, the weather and the economy, is lying to you, because really those kids are on the street selling things to my passengers. So we started a street kids home, but we engaged our customers over a 5-year period to raise money to buy the house for this community. We bought the house and gave them a 100-year free lease, but it was all engaging our customers to donate to do it. Cost us very little, except resources, but engaged our customers to a higher purpose greater than our product. On the Inca Trail, we identified another problem. We're spread out all over the Inca Trail. We have so many passengers, and every time we work with one company, they didn't pay their taxes. We couldn't control how they were doing the business, whether the quality was varying. So then we switched our business into 5 different operators, and then there was a consistency problem. Some were good, some weren't. Some weren't paying their employees fair enough. Some were, some didn't restore their equipment and didn't have good equipment for our passengers. So we went to the government and got our own license to run on the Inca Trail. We were the first company to get our own license on the Inca Trail. And that's what we did, and we did it on a basis that we would hire only local people and recruit and train local people to run our operations on the Inca Trail. We have 200 employees in just Peru running our operations for all of our travelers in that area. But creating employment and giving us, and solving that problem by creating sustainability, paying better wages, but also creating a business model that works for us to create the quality and consistency of product that we need. This is a graduating class in Peru. And even engaging our customers in Tibet. Where just 2 weeks ago, we flew 60 doctors and nurses into Tibet and were able to restore the vision of 300 Tibetans in 10 days. All funded by our travelers. All funded by our travelers. So this is how we engage our customers. It's all about, for us, achieving a higher purpose and engaging our customers way beyond our product. All companies are capable of it, but the triple bottom line business model has to evolve and has to include passion and purpose and an expanded spectrum to engage larger companies, or sustainability will never be achieved. And I'll leave you with one last thought. Of the 40 poorest countries in the world, tourism is second in revenue only to oil. So slowing down travel or stopping travel will only affect the most in need, which most boycotts do. And I'll leave you with that thought. Thank you very much.